The mainstream gaming media loves to pick targets. First it was Hogwarts Legacy, then of course it was Stellar Blade, and now they've set their sights on Black Myth Wukong. This is a game that they have been talking about for over a year at this point, and they have tried at every turn to trash. And recently, of course, one of the articles from specifically IGN had blown up and gone viral again about how they were accusing Game Science, the developers, of sexism, and instead of admitting that they might have been wrong and published a false report, they have now released a statement doubling down on their hit piece. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, make sure to give it a like, join our community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I, of course, would expect nothing better from the journalist hacks within the industry. These people are activists first and foremost, and they don't actually care about making the games industry stronger or healthier or having better products come out. They simply care that the industry is what they deem as positive, what they think is progressive enough and forward enough. And of course, this report has been going viral. It is from back in November 2023, but it's titled How Black Myth Wukong Developers' History of Sexism is Complicating Its Journey to the West. And they basically make a bunch of claims that boil down to the director of the game simply being vulgar. Yes, he had made some jokes about women in the past, but we've also found out that the translation that IGN used was inaccurate and dramatized. Of course, for the sake of being able to put this headline on this article, and the situation kind of died down there back in November because we were still a long ways away from the game's release. We hadn't seen a lot of gameplay, but recently we got a new gameplay trailer, and then a big report came out that alleged the Wukong developers had rejected a $7 million extortion scheme from DEI consultants. Now, of course, we're talking about Gamergate 2 since we're in the midst of it, and we've been talking a lot about narrative consultation companies, and it sounds according to this, of course it is just a rumor though, take it with a grain of salt, that since they were experiencing the harassment campaign, there were people within the industry from narrative consultation companies, specifically Sweet Baby Inc. is named, that reached out to the developers and tried to say, hey, listen, we get that your reputation isn't very positive right now, so why don't you hire us to sensitivity read for your game? Maybe we can give you some feedback. Maybe we can help you push forward past all of these controversies. And apparently the developer said there is no possible way that we are going to work with you. It seemed like they did want to interfere in this game's development process, and we know that that is what these companies do. I know that we've gotten plenty of articles from, people like Alyssa Mercante that are titled Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what you think they do, even though that is a complete and utter lie. They do exactly what you think they do. They go into games, they sanitize them, and they alter the content. But now it seems that IGN has decided to double down on this report. Now, of course, Rebecca Valentine, the activist who wrote the initial article back in November, has their X/Twitter account locked down, as you can see, but I'm also blocked on top of that, so there's two layers to this situation for me. But Mark Kern had actually tweeted this kind of update that they decided to give. And you might think, okay, they're going to apologize for accusing these developers of sexism. They're going to address the mistranslated text. They're going to do something to instill confidence in their readers, but they didn't. They doubled down. It says, last year, we published a comprehensive report on IGN detailing a number of sexist and inappropriate remarks made by multiple developers of Wukong, including including those in leadership roles. As of the publication of this preview, they have yet to provide any response or statement addressing our report or their past remarks. They do not owe you an explanation. They don't owe you an apology. They should not be bullied by the mainstream media. What you may deem inappropriate or sexist, someone else might simply think is funny, even if it is a bit vulgar. I personally, as a woman, don't mind people making jokes at the expense of my gender. I think they're funny too. I do the same exact thing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they owe you an apology, Rebecca, because you are triggered. It says, like Mitchell, I had the opportunity to see it at Summer Games Fest, though my appointment was admittedly a little strange. I was told as a part of my invitation that Game Science would have a statement related to the reports of sexism. I arrived at the appointment and saw the game as planned, but when I asked for the promised statement, I was told by the rep Game Science is focused on the demo during play days and will only answer questions related to gameplay. Mitchell's preview doesn't need my validation, but for what it's worth, I fully back everything he's written. It looks like it'll be a great game. It's gorgeous with snappy combat, fantastic monster designs, but then she goes on to say it's purely for expressing their discomfort with those statements. Both of these ideas can exist simultaneously. What audiences want to do about this conflict is ultimately their choice, and it is true. And so many people have decided to give the game journos the finger and have pre-ordered it. It right now is the #1 pre-ordered game on Steam, and for good reason. Obviously, I haven't played this game. We've still got a few months until release, but it looks like it's going to be really fun, and I am going to be playing it, and it appears that so many people are not happy with narrative consultation companies seemingly trying to meddle in this game's development process, but also the way that journos have reported on it. And at the very end, she just could not help herself, saying, "One last note. I didn't see any women or femme-coded characters in the demo, and I was able to confirm from Game Science that there were none present in this section as presented to the press. That does not mean there would not be women in the game. In fact, there will be women in the final product, but for now it is impossible to really comment on whether or not Game Science developers' expressed beliefs permeate Wukong in a meaningful way." So this is just a complete cluster of a double down. They failed to address the mistranslated text. They demand the developers address her false claims against them. Demand the developer she attacked to defend her for making those claims. Whines that there are no femme-coded characters in the game, whatever that is. I just assume that they mean like more feminine-esque characters. I say this all the time. I'm perfectly fine with playing a game with, predominantly male characters. I'm fine with playing a protagonist that has a set gender and it happens to be a male. These things do not bother me. I think it's a little bit narcissistic to constantly want to visually see yourself in a game and not really be able to look past that. I think that Rebecca here is just a little bit salty that she knows for a fact there is no meddling in the final product, that they didn't get someone like a Sweet Baby Inquiry Hit Detection to work on this product and change it in a way that she thinks is extremely meaningful. And of course, now everybody is seemingly turning against Rebecca yet again. I mean, they initially were, don't get me wrong, but it seems with this double down, it has gotten a heck of a lot worse for her. People are saying things like more gaslighting, no responsibility, just fire them. Y'all used to be a proper gaming site. You should defend and agree with me as I knowingly participate in racketeering because I'm a woman. You think you hate journos, but no, you don't hate them enough. IGN will die off soon enough. It just seems like everybody is talking about how this is the end of IGN, and I agree. I mean, IGN is still a relatively large gaming outlet from what we see on the outside looking in, but every single outlet and company right now is going through massive layoffs and massive shifts when it comes to things like their content, so I don't think someone like Rebecca would survive a final cut if they only keep a handful of people around. Rebecca doesn't even do that much when it comes to IGN. IGN reporting. If you start going down her kind of IGN portfolio, she really doesn't make all that much content. So it will be interesting to see if they quadruple down over at IGN. I wouldn't be surprised if they straight up tried to delete this report, but of course the internet never forgets. That's not going to happen. People will constantly be calling them out for this. And while we are still a few months away from Black Myth Wukong's release, so far it's looking good. A lot of people are excited. It's the #1 pre-ordered game on Steam right now, and it seems like it really deserves it. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.